Hello and a warm welcome to this week's episode of the Face Yoga Expert podcast. And this week's episode is a solo episode, and I am going to be reflecting a little bit over the year. So talking a little bit about 2024. I'll also delve slightly into 2023 and also talk a little bit about the year ahead in 2025. So it's a little bit about my own personal experience and situations that have happened to me, but hopefully it can also be something where you can take a little bit of inspiration and think about how to apply some of these principles I'm going to talk about into your own life. Now, before we get into it, if you're looking for a last minute Christmas gift or birthday gift or anything else, I have a perfect solution for you. And you don't even need to worry about delivery time. So even if you're listening to this the day before Christmas, you can still get this for somebody. And it is a gift card for all of my face yoga courses. So this is all of my personal courses. So my 7-day natural facelift course, which is only £21, my 10-minute face yoga for sexy sculpted skin over 40, which is also only £21, my 21-day face yoga to lift and glow in 3 minutes every day. So that one's got face yoga, gua sha, facial tools in it. That one's only £31. The face yoga workshop bundle, which is this amazing bundle of 4 face yoga workshops, which is only £51, and the face yoga retreat bundle, which is 4 gorgeous 3-hour retreats, everything in there from face yoga, gua sha, yoga, meditation, sound healing, wellness hacks. That's only £61. Or you can get a gift card for all of those courses together for £181. And it is ideal for anyone in your life who would like an online digital video-based learning course, which they can do in their own time, their own pace. They have lifetime access for it. So if you know someone that likes beauty or wellness or yoga, or maybe you know they're a fan of specifically face yoga and you love to gift them something, and if you only want to spend as little as £21, you have courses on there for that. Or maybe you'd like to treat them and get them the whole bundle of all of my 5 courses for £181. That would be the most gorgeous gift. I'm thinking myself, on Christmas Day, if I opened a card and I had information that I had 5 courses with face yoga, wellness hacks, yoga, sound healing, Reiki, meditation, all of it, I would be blown away. So if you head to the link in the show notes, I will put there the link for you to go to purchase the gift cards, and you will be able to have a little gift card which you can print out and you can put in a regular card for them, or you can email it to them, whatever you prefer, and then they just go on our website and they redeem it whenever they like. So such a gorgeous gift. Or just get one for yourself. Why not? I mean, like I said, there's courses on there, £21, £31. It's one that's 51, one that's 61. So they're all great value, and you get so much content in there that's going to help to lift your face, calm your mind, and really nourish your body and soul as well. So just go to faceyogaexpert.com. And if you want to go to /purchase-gift-card, that is the website address, but I will put it in the show notes for you as well. But it's faceyogaexpert.com. And an easier way is just to click on courses and you'll see it at the top of courses there. Super easy, a wonderful Christmas gift for anyone. Okay, let's get into this week's episode, which I think is quite timely, particularly because it is the end of the year. We're talking a little bit about Christmas. It's a time when we tend to reflect a little bit about the year just gone by. We start thinking about the year coming up. And every year I choose a word at the start of my year as almost like an intention for the year. So I prefer this to New Year's resolutions. I do set goals at the beginning of the year, but I don't really like resolutions. I always feel like resolutions are a bit short term. They're the sort of thing that we would say, we're going to go to the gym every day, and then by mid-January that stops because it's unachievable. Whereas I feel like if we set an intention and specifically one word, This is something which we can just step into throughout every situation in our year. And we can also embody, which is how we really make shifts and changes when we're truly feeling it within. Often a resolution feels like it's something outside ourselves. It feels like something we should do. It feels like something we're pressured to do. And it feels like deep down that it's not fully aligned and we pretty much know it's going to stop at a certain point. I do, like I say, believe in goals. So actually what I tend to do at the beginning of a year is have a notebook. I like to do things old school with a notebook and write down around 10 goals for business and around 10 goals for personal, and really use those as the focus for the year. But the intention or the word is different. This is something which is going to give me, I guess, a reason each day to make certain choices, to do what I'm going to do. It's also something I want to exude in everything I do, or it's something I really want to reflect on every day. And there's no pressure related to it at all, because actually it's not something we have to do. It's something we can just be. Now, let me give you some examples of this. So in 2023, I set the intention word of joy. And what I tried to do, and I believe that I did do throughout 2023, was try and embody that feeling and that essence of joy in everything I did. Now, of course, I wasn't feeling joyful all day, every day. But I would make choices and I would say yes to certain things and I would say no to certain things because they either brought me joy or I felt like they zapped away my joy. So straight away, it had an impact on decision I was making throughout my day. Also, I just aimed to embody it when I was in any situation. So if I was in a business meeting or I was seeing family or I was teaching, I was embodying that feeling within of joy. And when I did that, I showed up very differently. And that's why I love this intention word so much, because it's so simple. It's so easy to remember for a full 12 months, but it really just allows us to step in to what we're doing with such a focus. Now, the interesting thing that tends to happen is by the end of the year, I have a reflection word, which is always different from my intention word. Now, my intention word, I always embody, as I say, but my reflection word is more focused on the inevitable highs and lows and the unknown that can come throughout a year. Because at the beginning of the year, there's only one thing we can say for definite, is we don't know what the upcoming year is going to bring. That is the good, that is the bad, that is the ugly, that's all of it. Whereas at the end of the year, we can reflect and we can look at themes and we can look at feelings and we can look at actions and we can actually then summarize that in one word. So in 2023, I ended the year using the word cycles because that year I'd really stepped into the beauty of everything in life being in a cycle. And I never really thought about these cycles before. I became really aware that year without intending to. As I say, my intention was joy. I didn't intend to really feel this throughout the year, but it happened. And I really noticed the cyclical nature of everything, of relationships in my life, of health, of certain situations, of hormones, of work situations, and of nature. So moon cycles, even the cycle of the sun and the stars, and also cycles of the seasons. And this isn't a good thing or a bad thing. This is just something I really noticed in 2023, the fact that everything is in a cycle. And I hadn't had that awareness before. And it was such a beautiful thing to have that awareness. And it also felt quite a comforting thing, particularly in the harder times, that actually this is just one part of the cycle. And just like after winter comes spring, that is exactly the same way with everything in our life. And then summer comes, and then we go into autumn, and then back into winter again. And I think that every part of life has that cyclical nature. And when we are going through those hard times, we know the good times are going to come. And when we're in the good times, we can also know that if things do change, that's okay. That's just part of the cycle. Then, as we started 2024, I set my intention word. So, my intention word for the beginning of 2024 was evolution. Now, you may be thinking, Danielle, where did you get that word from? That doesn't feel quite as exciting as the word joy that you had in 2023. Well, no surprise, my words always come from an intuitive feeling. And as I went into the end of 2023 and then was starting to think about my 2024 intention, I really felt this strong desire for change and shifting. And I really wanted 2024 to be the year that I did things a bit differently, in a completely different way to what I had done before. And I wanted it to be a year where I grow and I develop lots of areas of my life. And the word evolution felt so perfect for that. And I really do feel, as I reflect now in December, that I have had a year of evolution. I have worked wildly differently to I ever have in my life. I have taken way more time off work than I ever have before. I've made decisions in my business in a completely different way to I usually have. I've also evolved so many aspects of relationships and become aware of evolution of relationships. And again, this is not a good thing or a bad thing. I just have had this real awareness. And I do feel like things have shifted and they've changed and they've developed. And I feel really pleased about all that. I feel like this evolution has been such a positive thing for me. But interestingly, as I think about my reflection word rather than my intention word for the year, although yes, there's been lots of evolution, I actually think my reflection word is truth, which is super interesting as I think about that, because I've never had a year where I've become more of my true self at a soul level. I really feel like I've stepped into my true essence and been really true to my core beliefs, my heart's needs and my heart's desire, and been really true in terms of the way I show up, the way that I speak, the way that I have awareness of who I am and what I want. And again, I don't see this as a good thing or a bad thing, because sometimes it can be uncomfortable, because when you let truth rise to the surface, you need to face it head on. And this can sometimes feel really uncomfortable. But also, when you let truth rise to the surface, it can feel freeing and it can feel magical and it can even feel joyful. So I don't label it as good or bad. I can definitely say it can be uncomfortable and it can be joyful, but not necessarily good or bad. But I don't see emotions as that anyway. I don't see emotions as good and bad. I think everything has its own beauty to it. So for example, and this is slightly going off on a tangent, but the word sadness, we often would think if someone said, is this good or bad? People often say, oh, that's bad. Sadness is bad. But that's not necessarily true. I believe that sadness is good and bad and neither. In many ways, it's not either of those things. It is an emotion that we feel, that we go through, and that passes in time, that cyclical nature again. So as I say these words of truth and evolution and joy and cycles, I don't attach anything good or bad to them. I just see them for this beautiful thing, this beautiful feeling that they are. Now, it's interesting because I'm starting to reflect about 2025 and my intention for 2025. Now, as I press play on this podcast, I knew that I was going to take a bit of time, as I'd spoken about 2023 and 2024, to decide on my word for 2025. Now, as you know, I do it completely from my intuition. So I decided I would literally do this while I'm recording the podcast because I have no clue. I haven't actually consciously thought about it at all. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause this for a moment. You guys won't know because I will just carry on the podcast as it is in a moment. But I'm going to pause. I am going to take a few deep breaths. I'm going to go into my intuition and I am going to think about what intention word 2025 will be. Then I'm going to press play again. So like I say, you won't even notice because it'll just go straight into it. And I'm going to tell you what it is. So we're literally going to discover it live now because I have no clue in this current moment. Now, I might come back in a minute or two and I might say I still don't know. And that's okay, because if our intuition is not telling us what to do in that moment, it's not the right time. Or I might come back with a word that is so strong and feels so good and feels so deep and feels so right that is the way that I'm going to be showing up in 2025. So I will see you on the other side of me tapping into my intuition. Okay, guys, I am back. Now, I paused for about 35 minutes because my sister called and I answered the call to her. And then I started writing down a few sort of goals for 2025. And just to give me a bit of a vibe, because intuitively I couldn't quite feel anything, but I've circled one of the words as I was writing, because sometimes I find that then I can use my intuition if I've written rather than just simply going inside. The word that I've circled is longevity. Now, it feels about 90% right. I do feel that word might shift and evolve. So watch this space. I do think I might change it, but I feel like the vibe behind the word longevity is right. And what I really want 2025 to be about is setting up me, myself, my life, my business, my health, my relationships, everything for the long term, for longevity. And definitely the last couple of years when it comes to my health and fitness, I have been really thinking a lot more about how can I include more strength into my exercise so my bones are strong when I'm 80 or 90 or 100? How can I have my heart as healthy as possible? So really thinking about my cardio health, using saunas because there's proof with those that they help with longevity, but also thinking about my business. How can I set up systems within it that are really working for me for the long term? How can I really set foundations in relationships so they're there for the long term for me? So I do think longevity is the right vibe. I'm not 100% it's the right word yet. I'm going to sit with it for a little bit, but that's where I feel like we're going for 2025. And I feel like we'll do another podcast near the end of 2025. So I talk about my reflection word. So this is my invite to you to take a little bit of time now to think about what your reflection word is for 2024, and then what your intention word is for 2025. Now, either in a moment when the podcast finishes, take a few deep breaths, go in, ask yourself the question, what is my word? And listen to the answer, because sometimes it comes up as quick as that within a couple of seconds. If you can't feel it through that, start writing down some things you'd like to do or achieve or feel in the next year, and just circle the word which sort of jumps out to you the most. Or just go through your day-to-day life in the next few days and see what starts to feel right. Take inspiration from somewhere around you. Sometimes we see or hear a word and we're like, yes, that is the word. And in terms of when you're reflecting about 2024, almost ask yourself, if someone was to say, how was your 2024? And that includes the hard stuff, the uncomfortable stuff, the exciting stuff, the wonderful stuff. How was it? how would you sum it up? Even if you start with the sentence, then you bring it down to a word. It's really nice to have that reflection of the year. Okay, so let me send you lots and lots of love for the rest of the week if you're going to be listening next week, which I know many of you do. But also just to say, I do wish you a healthy and a happy 2025. Lots of love. So I hope you've enjoyed this episode. If you'd like more information on Face Yoga or you'd like to become a Face Yoga teacher, just head to our website, faceyogaexpert.com, for more information. Thank you for joining me today, and I look forward to seeing you again next time.